Hi, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hey guys, we've loved answering all of your questions so far. If you'd like to hear your question on the podcast, please send them to us on Instagram at wheeltalkpodcast or by email to wheeltalkpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks. All right.
What up, Ryan?
Hi, Becca.
We're live.
We are. All right, so we are back for another short episode. This is the part 2 of what we are doing for today, but we're going to start with a review from one of you all. If you want to get a review in at the last minute before we are done giving out stickers for the month of May, get those to us. Screenshot your review, send it to us. I believe Apple Podcast, Castbox, and then maybe Podbean, I think, are the 3 that you can do it in. I don't know why the other platforms don't have them yet. As of now, that's what we got. So send those reviews that way, and then screenshot it, send it to us on Instagram or through email, and we'll send you some stickers.
Yay!
So we'll read one of these. The one that I've got today is from Castbox, and this is from the Watering Can Pottery. It says, I enjoy Wheel Talk because Becca and Ryan are so relatable. Don't take this the wrong way, but they are not polished and pristine. Neither am I. They are just two friends chatting about pottery, business, and life. I like that because when you all get is the pottery and business without life, spouse, jobs, cat, depression, etc. I can feel like I'm the only one struggling for balance. I do laugh sometimes at the yawning and swallowing, though.
We do yawn.
Tardy.
And we do swallow.
And I do drink water often.
At least we're hydrated.
Hey, I gotta stay hydrated.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So do you want to go into what we're talking about today?
Sure. So I'm just going to read the first one because they're kind of redundant. But it says, I was wondering if you guys could cover all the tests a potter should be doing on their pots to ensure safety and quality. I see water absorption, thermal, freeze shocking, chemical resistance, lemon test, crush strength test, and porosity. There are so many. What else should I be doing and how often? And that is Goodwill Ceramics. And then also Shelby Chowning Pottery. She also put in basically the same question. Like, what's the importance and the vitrification and like the better quality. Like, yeah, so let's talk about it.
This is such a big topic, and I'm sure we're going to miss things here, and there's no set list of, like, you need to do these 5 things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is one very specific thing that you should do. I feel like 2 things that you should do.
And what's that?
That's the absorption test. And
first off, does this change based on, we're talking mostly functional wear, right? Not decorative.
Right. Well, decorative, you still need an absorption test because if it's decorative, the idea.
What if it's a wall piece or something?
A wall piece, whatever, who cares? But yeah, but if it was like a vase that looks decorative, like you have no idea if somebody's ever going to put water in there and you don't want it to leak. So there's that. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about what I feel like I should write these down.
So the first one you said was absorption, and then the second one that you were thinking was.
So absorption, food, and then freezer test, and I've never done a scratch test, and then I've never done a crush strength test. And porosity, as we discussed earlier, is the exact same thing as absorption?
Yes.
Are we sure?
Yeah. How porous it is. How much does it absorb?
Okay.
When you say food, is that the lemon test? Is that kind of what you're thinking of?
Lemon
Food?
or vinegar. Okay. So let's go with the easiest one first, and that's the food test. Have you ever done this?
I've probably done it once before, but no, not really.
Okay. There's two ways that I've done it. Okay, so you can either put vinegar inside of a vessel and leave it there for 24 hours.
Just regular white vinegar?
White vinegar. And then if any of the glaze leaches into it, like if you pour it out and it's blue, then it's not food safe. Like
Ooh,
if you pour it out and
easy.
it's got a color in it, then it's not food safe. So that means that the glaze is leaching. Usually it happens with like a cobalt. It's leaching into it. Okay.
Cobalt, like a blue glaze.
Yeah. Okay, so if it changes at all, if it's not clear, then there's something going on.
And that's an overnight thing? Is that what you
24 hours. 24 hours.
Okay.
Pretty much all these tests are 24 hours. So, yeah, carve out some time. So like when I used to do food tests with the vinegar, I would take a pinch pot, which is a small bowl, and I would just fill all of them up with vinegar and leave them for the day. Okay, another way to do it, and also one that is a little bit more...
What if are you saying one of every glaze that you have, or do you do you do every glaze combo? Because when you layer them, it can change the chemical.
No, I would just do the...
Well, you have all the same base, right, for all your glazes, but if you used commercial glazes, how would you... and you mix them and do different layering, could it be different?
I don't think so. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I don't think that mixing the glazes would change the chemical compound enough that it would not be food safe.
Okay.
More
tests is always better,
if you have two food safe glazes and you combine them, they should be food safe. Okay. Lemon test. So the lemon test, I've heard, is a stronger acid. So what you're essentially doing with the food test is you're testing an acid on it. So the acid would eat up the glaze, and that's what you're trying to avoid, right? So you would you cut a lemon, so it's all smushy and juicy, and then you just lay it on a dish for 24 hours.
Like a horizontal surface.
Yeah. And then for 24 hours, and then you would take it off. You can also tape the lemon to it, if you have something tall. And then if it changes in color, if the glaze changes in color, it's not food safe. Boom. Easy enough.
And that's mainly for you can probably eat potato chips off of it, but it's more if you're putting soup in it, or putting in the microwave and cooking something that's gonna leach into it, or some kind of a lot of liquids. It's not right. That's kind of the main idea, and that the acids of a lemon are gonna simulate the most acidic things that a food could have in it that could take from the glaze.
Right.
That's kind of the idea.
Yes, and we are going to link a couple websites. There's a ceramics art network.org, and then also Digital Fire, and then Ceramic Arts also does a microwave test. I don't know, I agree, yes, but that's what we're when I read this, I was like, this is fucking dumb. Okay. Here's what it says about the microwave test. Essentially, you want to fill a test piece with water and microwave it for a minute. If the clay body isn't sufficiently vitrified, the water will absorb into the surface of the work and become very hot.
That's kind of subjective, though. What is very hot? I mean, I think Tim C. Did you ever watch his YouTube video where he did this kind of microwave test with the laser thermometer and like checking the temperature. He did a test on. Look up Tim C's YouTube, SEE. And he did one where he's got a microwave with like a glass commercial mug, and then like a regular commercial mug, and then a ceramic mug, and one that's like, earthenware, and then another one that's like wood fired. And he did a test with the little laser, like what is the temperature before it goes in the microwave? What's the temperature after it goes in the microwave? What's the temperature after it's been sitting for 5 minutes? And kind of did that sort of thing.
Yeah.
To see like how much heat is retained and how much, because the water is heating up, right? So if the water is heating up so much, then it shouldn't be like kind of making its way to the mug itself or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, but
this also has a good point. It does also talk about thermal shock. The hot water may also cause cracking if the glaze isn't fitting your clay well enough, which you can do that a couple different ways. But yeah, I like when I saw this, I was like, this is fucking dumb, because like I microwave soup all the time, and have like
you can't pick the bowl up without it being fucking hot.
Like, it's always gonna be fucking hot. Like, it's not magic. It's like,
yeah.
So that's what I have to say about that. Because like, I used a fucking one of Kurt's Hammerly's pieces, and we all know those are fucking microwave safe. Those are cone 10, and that fucker got hot in the microwave, but it had soup in it. Like
right, it's got a liquid in there that's heating up, and it's right on top of the clay. Like, it's gonna be hot.
I would say a better test for that is to put a mug in the microwave with water in it, and if the handle gets hot, there's something up.
Maybe that's what he was doing, that Tim was doing.
Maybe. Yeah, because like I've heard that when they're microwave safe, the handles don't get hot.
Yeah. Usually what I do for the water thing, the hot water, like I will just use a Keurig. So I'll fill something with the Keurig water. I don't know the temperature of what the water comes out of a Keurig hot is. It's probably close to 180 or something, maybe. I don't know. What's a typical cup of coffee? Is it like 160, 180, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, so I'll do that, put it in like a pitcher, and then I'll pour it into my mugs and like see if they leak. I'll usually do that before every restock with mugs that I have, just to make sure that they're not going to leak on the counter.
Yeah.
And I'll do that just to make sure. And that's more of a glaze fit thing than like an absorption thing.
Yeah, so like the freezer test, what I've done for the freezer test, and this could be, again, some people have not had luck with this, is that I take a cup and put it in the freezer for 24 hours, take it out, and then put boiling hot water in it. What?
No, it's just funny. I'll just see the negatives happening when you try that. Do you do that into the sink?
Yes, obviously. Just
in case something happens.
Yeah, and if you hear clinking, then it's not, the glaze doesn't fit right. But like, also, there's been a ton of people that, like, Rebecca was like, of course your mug's gonna fucking break. Like,
that's like putting your piece into a hot oven and like.
Yeah, well, I think I just saw something on the interwebs just now about taking it out of the freezer and putting it in the oven and then like heating it up to 300 degrees. I can't confirm that that's the way it was, but so anyway, that's how I was taught how to do a thermal shock test. Rebecca just does hot water in a regular cup and like pours it in there like 10 times. And after like the 10th time, sees if it's got any crazing in it. So
10 times like from the Keurig? Like she'll actually fill it from the
boiling
Keurig
water, like boiling water. So that's the kind of like the freezer like thermal shock test. And then the scratch test. What? Okay, that's not cool. That second link that I sent you, Um,
I don't remember the scratch test being.
it was on the second link.
Okay.
So make sure you put that second link up. The scratch test is you draw a key back and forth on a fired glaze surface. If it leaves a score mark that can't be removed, flatware will scratch it. So like a fork will scratch it.
Right.
So that's a scratch test.
So get out your old keys that you don't know what they go to and just start scratching your pots.
Yeah. Oh, here's the freezer thing. Place the piece in the freezer overnight. The next morning, preheat your oven to 350 degrees and heat the piece by moving it directly from the freezer to the oven. Leave it in the hot oven for a half hour. Clay and glaze used for functional work should be able to handle this stress. If the piece cracks or crazes when making the transition from extreme cold to extreme heat, you may want to consider using a different clay or a different set of glazes for your work. If the piece passes the test, then you can be assured that the future owner can use it without much worry. I will also say that if you put a single potato on a plate, it's going to crack. If you I had a customer put a single potato on a plate and put it in the microwave for 7 minutes. And then he was like, the plate cracked. And I was like, that's because all of the heat went to the potato.
It's right in the middle.
And it went right in the middle. You have to fill the surface. It's not, like I said, it's not fucking magic.
That's funny.
What are we at? What time are we at? Okay, we have 15 minutes. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so we've got the freezer test, the scratch test, the lemon test, the microwave test, and then we have the absorption test. That's our last one, right? Is that the last one?
Yeah, this is the fun one that I did recently, actually.
You did?
Yeah.
How did it go?
It was super easy. So what I did, I have a digital scale. I took the piece dry out of the kiln the day before or whatever. No water in it or anything. And then I put it on the scale, see how much it weighs. Log that in grams because that was the easier number to do when you do the absorption. And then I filled it with water, submerged it in water overnight. I just used room temperature water, out of the faucet. Some people might do boiling water or something like that.
You can boil it for an hour, I believe.
Yeah. Awesome. And then I just left it in that bucket overnight. Next day, took it out, dumped all the water out, cleaned it all off so there's not any excess water on it, and then put it back on the scale, logged that weight. Let's say the before weight was 400, the after weight was 404. You do that math, and that's 4% because it's 4% more than what it was before.
Yeah, so I have a Jennifer Beachy sent me this a long time ago. And it's the cup weight or the wet weight minus the dry weight over the dry weight. That is the equation times something. Well, that picture.
I mean, it's just a fraction, so you just say, what's the wet weight divided by the dry weight, and it's going to be 1.0 something, and that's 100. That's and then multiply that by 100, and that's going to give you 104 something. That's 104% or whatever.
Yeah. So mine, when I did it with Jen Beachy, it was when I did my absorption test, it was 301 was my wet and 299 was my dry. So 301 minus 299 over 299 times 100, and then that was 0.67%. And you want
That's
less
not
than
right.
1%.
Oh.
No more than 3%. Stoneware, no more than 3%. Aim for 1.5.
How can you get a better percentage? Fire your pieces hotter in the glaze kiln?
Yes. Typically. Or it could be the clay.
What's a reasonable number? You say you want it below 3. Is that like you can't sell if it's below 3, or is it, or you can't sell if it's at like 4, or like what's a number that's like iffy? I feel like 6 is iffy. 6 and up.
So she
Or like
says,
5 and up.
so this is what Jennifer Beachy says, who's a very smart lady. She says, for stoneware, aim for 1.5%, no more than 3%. Everything I read says there's a fudge factor of plus or minus 1% for calculations.
Okay, so really like 4%.
Is like
You
your
said
tops.
plus or minus. Okay, yeah, you said plus or minus 1, so. Okay.
Yeah. So, okay, so yeah, for absorption rate, also what you can do, I've seen Tim C do this as well, is you literally make a brick of clay, like just a cube, essentially, of clay, and you can do it that way too. So it's not glazed or anything, and it's just kind of like a log, essentially. And then you can weigh that and then put that in the water and then weigh it again. So, but make sure that when you take it out of the water, you clean off the water so there's not like driplets.
Driplet droplets.
Driplet droplets. Okay.
Yeah, and usually if you're buying a commercial clay, you can look on their website and they'll tell you the absorption percentage.
But should you test them? Yeah.
I'm just saying that gives you an idea when you buy it. Some of them are deceiving and won't give you that.
Yeah.
For instance, they will give you, if this is a clay that is 6 to 10, it will give you, here is the absorption at 10%. But it doesn't tell you anything about 6%.
Wait, 10, cone 10, you mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, did I say percent? I meant...
Yeah, you did. It's okay, though. Yeah, so it's really good to do all of these tests before you start selling your pieces. And if you haven't done them and you're selling your pieces, just do it now. It's fine. We've all been there. We've all had that moment of, oh shit, I should have done this a year ago. It's fine. We've all done it.
Yeah.
We've all like gone back to our studio frantic and done all the tests. Better late than never.
And one of the reasons that I was, a test would have saved me time when I started using standard 182. That was a 6 to 10 clay. The absorption test, if I would have done that early on, back in 2016 when I started selling my stuff, that would have been beneficial. I didn't know about absorption tests at that point.
Yeah.
I probably heard of it, but I didn't really know much about it. And then you sell stuff, and just for the matter of selling a lot of pieces, you come upon a customer that has issues, or you have leaking and stuff like that. And that's what happened. They had a pitcher and they put water in it and they put flowers and they had something on their table after the fact, and they are like, hey, this happened. Is this common? Should I be concerned? What should I do? And the issue was on me of like, hey, it's my clay. Like, it's not vitrified enough.
Yeah.
And I'm firing to cone 6. It doesn't work. I can't just all of a sudden change all my glazes and fire them to cone 10 to make it work. So I had to change my clay. It was more common with certain glazes that I used than other glazes. So, some of them were sealed better than others. So that was kind of a glaze fit thing. You're more at risk of having some glaze fit issues as well if you're, have the different clays that don't have the rate. Have you had that experience at all? Have you fired in with like cone 6 to 10 or anything and had like bad glaze fit because of it?
So, before we get to that, I thought I'd define vitrify. For if anybody doesn't know what vitrify means, it's essentially when the clay is basically vitrified means when the clay is cured enough. So when he's talking about it not being vitrified, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's not matured enough. It's like under fired.
Yes. Okay. What was the question?
Have you ever had issues with like a cone 6 to, like, the clay is a bigger range and the glaze doesn't fit as well because of the clay?
I've been extremely lucky, and most of my glazes have fit my clay body to the T. But uh, I did have a few porcelains that I was trying that did not fit a few of my glazes. But I've never used a 6 to 10 glaze or clay before, so no.
Yeah.
But like I said, like the porcelains have a little tighter fit and they have a little bit of a different shrinkage rate. So that shrinkage rate. Oh, we forgot a shrinkage test. The shrinkage rate is, it was a little bit different, so it didn't fit my glazes. But it wasn't that big of an issue. The vitrification of the clay was totally done. Also, we should point out that if your glaze is craze and your clay is vitrified, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not necessarily not food safe because your glazes are crazed. The biggest point is that your clay is vitrified. If you think about it, like a lot of people will say like, hey, if your piece is like, if you're doing a wood firing, your glazes are going to be crazed, but for sure that clay is going to be vitrified. So just think of it kind of that way.
It just means the water's not going to penetrate the clay.
Right.
Just because it's got the cracks to get to the clay.
Yeah, it's mostly about the clay and not the cracks. The crazing. There's a lot of things around crazing that is like a huge hoo-ta-da in the clay world. But a shrinkage test. The really good way to do a shrinkage test is to make a slab of clay, flatten it out, and then with a ruler mark it in centimeters, like do 10 centimeters, and then put it in your glaze. Once fire it, go all the way to cone 6 or whatever cone you go to, and then take it out and then remeasure that, and then that'll show you the amount that it shrinks. So I
think it'd be interesting. Do you know what the shrinkage is between green and bisque?
It's about 50%.
Well, 50% of what the total shrinkage is going to be. So if the clay is a 12% shrinkage, it's going to do about 6%.
Wet and bisque or dry and bisque? There is no shrinkage in the bisque kiln.
Okay, there's not at all.
No.
Between dry, bone dry and bisque. Okay.
From what I've
that's
heard, there's no
know.
Shrinkage.
Okay.
I feel like I should say you should look that up but I'm pretty sure that there is no shrinkage between bone dry and bisque.
Well, you could find that out if you don't once fire your little clay tile, which it would be safer to just put it through a bisque kiln just like you would any other piece. If it's just a small piece, then it's not really a big deal. Just throw it through your bisque. See what the measurement is. That'll give you your shrinkage between wet and bisque.
Oh, it says that it does shrink 1% during the bisque firing. That's like nothing. That's what but this is Lakeside Pottery. We don't know if this is true.
But the measurement that you do is going to be at wet stage though. So
yeah.
There is going to be a difference between when you first draw the lines on there and when you get it out of the bisque kiln.
Right. And it also kind of depends on how wet your pieces are too, because the more water they have, the more water they're losing when they're drying. So there is a little bit of variation, like when you're throwing something versus when you have a slab. But for testing's sake, just do a slab, measure it out, do the ruler, mark the ruler on the slab, and then fire it. And you should be good to go.
And then the end goal is, let's say it's 10 centimeters, you put the mark on, and the end goal is going to be like 88 centimeters.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, 8.8 centimeters, so that would be 88%, and that would be 12% shrinkage.
12% shrinkage. And that's the majority of clays. Sometimes porcelains shrink about 14%, but like our clay shrinks about 12. So
yeah, I would say an average stoneware is like 11 to 12 or 10 to 12, something like that.
Usually when it's higher fire, like cone 10, you're looking at like 14.
Yeah.
13
and I would
14.
Say, for me, the shrinkage doesn't matter to like the food safety thing. It's more about understanding what size you need to make something. It's more important for like making custom dishware or something to a specification when you're doing a commission, and somebody says, I want a piece that's 3 inches tall by 7 inches wide, a bowl. It's like, okay, what do I need to make that in wet so that I end up at that? So you would do 3 inches times 1.12. That would be 112%, and that's how big you need to make the height. And then you would do 7 times 1.12, and that's going to give you the width. And that's what you need to make it wet to account for the amount of shrinkage it's going to be in the end. That's how I would do it.
Going back to if clay shrinks in the bisque fire, Tony says that it does. Tony at digitalfire.com says that it shrinks just a smidge, and we believe him because he knows his shit and he's a fucking encyclopedia. So we're gonna end with that. But yeah.
How often are you doing these tests? I feel like somebody asked.
Oh yeah, somebody asked how often we're doing this test.
At least you should do it with the different clays you have for sure.
Yeah, whenever you have a new clay, whenever you have a new glaze. You could probably do it once a quarter. Be a good practice to do it once a quarter. Make sure everything's up to snuff.
And what I didn't end my thing earlier about the clay thing. So what I did with the clay, if you have a clay that's a too big of a range and it's not it's absorbing water and stuff like that. Like what I did was I didn't go cold turkey and say, oh shit, I just found this out. I got to throw out all the clay that I already have. I pick and chose what forms I was fine with the absorption. Like maybe I do them for planters and I make a bunch of planters or shot glasses with them that are smaller, less risk, but maybe I don't make mugs with that clay anymore. And then I get the next batch of clay that I get is a different type of clay, and I kind of phase in that new clay until I'm comfortable with it, and then I just don't order more of that old clay. Like,
I'm a cold turkey type.
But if you already have 500 pounds of something, you're going to stop using that 500 pounds and just sell it to somebody and get out of it?
Yeah.
Okay. I just use it all up on select forms that I was fine with using it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if I did, like, wall hangings or something, but... Yeah.
You wouldn't even do it for planters that's going to drain?
Dishes. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. It depends, but...
It depends.
But
well, if you're going to do it on
me.
the planters, then don't do it on the planter bases. Like, do a different clay on the plates.
Yeah, that's an option.
Yeah. Cool.
All
How'd
right.
we do?
All done.
All done. Absorption, food, freezer, scratch, and shrink.
All the testing.
All the testing. We got it.
Don't be scared of it.
Don't be
Just
scared of it. And like I said, everybody's had a moment where they haven't done it before.
You're just more educated once you have the test. Don't feel like it could explain some of the things that you've had questions from customers. You know,
yeah.
They ask innocently because they are concerned. And then you find out and you're like, maybe something's wrong.
Yeah. And
you don't know unless you test, so.
Totally. Cool. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Later.
Bye.
Oh, the train. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate it, and we're having so much fun. If you want to follow us individually on Instagram, you totally can. Ryan's Instagram handle is @RDCeramics, and mine is 5 Lines Pottery. That's the number 5. We would love to hear from you, and don't forget to write us a review on our podcast. We read every single one of them, and we totally appreciate them. They help us out an awful lot, and they also put smiles on our faces. I hope you guys continue to listen, and we love you. Thanks. Bye.